49ers win. They beat the New Orleans Saints down in New Orleans 26-21. This is an instant reaction. I'm Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte. And Jason, I got the victory hat right behind me, so I'll just grab that real quick while you talk for 2 seconds.
Yeah, just overall fun game. Just like we drew it up when the schedule came out. Hey, we're gonna be in a nail biter with the New Orleans Saints in week 2.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of positives to take away from this game, considering all of the injuries and the way this game was set up and the way the 49ers would have lost this game last season. You really can't walk away with too many negatives in this game. And then to have back-to-back, Bosa and Huff,
Yep.
close the game out. These are the things they just weren't doing last season, and they still haven't played their best football yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this and say 26-21, against the 0-2 Saints, a team who's not very, very good this year, you could have concerns. But yeah, it really was. I think that the tightness, a lot of it, you said there's not a lot of negatives to take. The one negative I took is the defense is young, right? We saw a lot of young mistakes today from this defense, but it was really as much as the Saints rolling with the punches the Niners were throwing out there. So again, close game, but there's a lot of positives, I think, in this game. And the first, Jason, I think the Niners have a backup quarterback. I think they have a pretty quality backup quarterback, something they haven't had too often. Unfortunately, it's something we have to talk about more than I feel like a lot of teams do, is that backup quarterback position. But McCorkle, he looked every bit of a starting quarterback as he could today. There was a couple of plays, especially the fumble, that wasn't great. Kind of just stood like a statue, Garoppolo-esque, dare I say, in the pocket back there. But a very solid game, 26 of 39, 279 yards and 3 touchdowns from Jones, and a big part as to why this Niners offense worked as well as it did today.
Absolutely. I mean, again, look, what more can you ask for? I mean,
Yep.
when you look at the stat line, the stats don't tell everything. He made some sparkling throws. He made some,
Yep.
bad throws. He made some bad decisions. That's what a backup quarterback is, right?
Mm.
But Mac was never going to be flustered, and that's something that I never really worried about in this game. That Mac was just going to shit his pants. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. And you could see there's Mac Jones is still a borderline starter depending on the situation. If he was in a different place, he could be a starter, right?
Yep.
And he's a professional. He knows what needs to be done. He's a glove in hand fit for this offense. You knew that he was going to be able to operate the intermediate throws and the quick throws and all that stuff. I mean, what more could you ask for from him? I mean, that 2-minute drive was a thing of beauty.
Yep.
And I haven't seen a 49ers 2-minute drive like that at the end of the half in a long time. That looked like expertly crafted.
Yep.
Like nothing was wrong. Everything was under control. Didn't use the timeouts too early. And then that beautiful throw to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, my goodness, man. What more do you want from Mac? I thought he was great.
9 plays, 77 yards, a minute 7 drive. It took the Niners from up 9-7 going into the half to 16-7. And I mean, obviously you can't play this game because things change as things happen in games. But let's say they don't get that touchdown drive. They start the second half with the fumble. Things look drastically different. But yeah, that was a hell of a throw by him on the touchdown. And I mean, his best throw of the game, I think, unless there's something I'm forgetting, the touchdown to Juwan Jennings. I mean, that was a dot over the middle of the field when the Niners needed it. It was a 3rd down and 11, so that's a tough conversion to face already. They're kind of in that fringe field goal range area. It could be a situation, too, where maybe they're up 19-14. A field goal would make it an 8-point game, and you're sitting at the 42-yard line. Maybe you lay it up, get to the 35-yard line instead of shooting for the first down to try a long field goal. But no, dude, Mac Jones fired that ball in there to Juwan Jennings, and Jennings did the rest of the work. I probably, as I said, there's a couple things that stood out with Jones. I mentioned the fumble already, but I'm really having a hard time criticizing this performance by Mac Jones.
Nobody has made more money for Juwan Jennings than Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
And that's exactly what that was. Juwan Jennings looked like he was running in quicksand, and no one touched him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's attention to Christian McCaffrey in the flat because he had been doing so much as a receiver. It's play call and it's play design by Kyle. It's a beautiful throw from Mac. I mean, there wasn't a person anywhere near him. And he went in and scored a touchdown, man. Good for Jawan Jennings, but my God, man, Kyle Shanahan and Mac, they were in their bag on that play. And I posted the next gen stats, diagram of it on
I love
Twitter,
the
so you guys
dogs.
can check it out. And you just see the defenders moving up and looking at McCaffrey, the attention he draws, balls thrown behind the ear, boom, touchdown. And credit Jawan Jennings for making the play, but credit Kyle Shanahan for the play call and play design.
Yeah, just it's almost as if, Jason, that's why the rumors said 4 years ago that Kyle Shanahan was very big on Mac Jones. And you saw it a little bit today. And I know I saw a few people, talking about, oh, well, it's the Saints. I'm fine with the Saints defense, man. And I think the Saints defense is much better than their offense. I thought it was a good game. And I tweeted it earlier. Mac Jones looked better against that Saints defense than Kyler looked at any moment last Sunday. I think.
Almost like when Andrew and I previewed this game, we watched the film and we were like, wait a minute. This might not be as bad of a football team as you think they are. Now,
No.
they're not going to win many games, but I'll be damned if they're not going to be competitive week to week like that. And you got to give credit. You got to give credit to who? You know who? Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley was pitching a pretty good game there for a little while. He had his team with a chance right there to get it done. And then, Rattler played well as well. You know what I was really impressed with? The Saints' ability to pick up the blitz. Every single time that Salah sent it on 3rd and 4th down, they would pick up the blitzes, and you know what? They attacked properly. I have nothing but respect for the Saints after this game. They went out there and they played a hell of a game, man.
Hard
And that's
game,
why the NFL is great. That's why the NFL is a league of parity. That's why, I won't say any given Sunday because I do believe that the New Orleans Saints are far better than they're giving credit for. And I think that, people were just dismissing them. Again, when we saw this come up on the schedule, we were like, oh, ha, 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 the Saints week 2. Digging into this game during the week, I was like, oh, no. Given the injuries and given the, the backup quarterback situation, oh, no, this game is going to be tense. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I was impressed with Rattler, man. I probably didn't give him as much credit as he deserved over the week. 3 touchdowns, 25 for 34 for 307. I think the thing that helped them today as well, Jason, is they were much more balanced in terms of run pass. Last week it was 46 attempts for Rattler compared to 20 rush attempts. Today it was 34 pass attempts, 30 rush attempts. Alvin Kamara, man, I really liked his game today too. 21 carries for 99 yards. The streak of under 100 yards rushing against the Niners is dead. Lasted 1 week. RIP to that. And let's talk about the Niners defense. Growing pains are going to happen. I felt Upton Stout had a very good game around the line of scrimmage. Maybe not the best game in the secondary. I don't think I noticed 36 do anything positive. I feel like anytime I saw 36, he was
Marcus
getting
Eagle.
beat. He was allowing a catch. I mean, he got mossed by Jawan Johnson on that one play. That would be Marquise Siegel. The penalties, I know the Upton Stout one, the illegal contact on 3rd down. I think that's a ticky-tack call, but to have back-to-back 3rd downs on a big drive where it's illegal contact by Upton Stout, Siegel gets called for a holding. There are going to be growing pains with these rookies, these young guys, and we saw it today. Thankfully, it's against a team like the New Orleans Saints that's not as offensively versed. If these mistakes happen in week 5 against the Rams, I think this game goes a little differently. But boy, oh boy, Mykel Williams. Holy shit. Mykel Williams showed why he was the, 11th, 12th, 13th pick, whatever number the Niners had last year. People kind of talked about it throughout the week about his lack of box score
Pressure
numbers,
rate.
I guess, last week. But he's a run stopper, right? A lot of what he's going to do isn't going to show up in the box score unless he gets sacked. Today, he had those numbers show up in the box score: 5 tackles, 4 solo, 2 tackles for loss, and he had the pressure up the middle on the Bosa sack. I was really impressed by Mykel Williams today.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to watch the game to understand the impact, right? Everybody ran with that crazy double team stat that was not at all. It was a very flawed metric because he was rushing from the interior. Of course, he's going to get double teamed. At the same time, that's a good thing because he's holding his position. And it was only a matter of time before he starts to get going. But
Mhm.
today, he was not only getting off the block, he was making plays.
Yep.
Let's relax, everybody. Again, that stat was misleading. It doesn't mean that the entire Seahawks offense was dedicated to like where's 98, we've got to stop him.
Mhm.
It's He's a large man, and that's what the interior defender is gonna have to do. Is you're gonna have to put two guys on him. That's a
Mhm.
good thing. And again, the NASCAR package is Bosa, Gross Models, him, and Huff. By the way, Guido Gross Models has been very good this season,
Yep.
and he is just like flying under the radar, but he fits so well in what they want to do. That's patience. Of course, the young man's going to be good, but using 1 week to have some sort of victory lap or sweeping statement one way or the other, it's just not the way to do it. And especially when those numbers weren't, they did not have the context of the plays and what it was. He wasn't getting blown off the ball. He wasn't
No.
getting sent back. That's what you want to see. If he's holding and he's holding and he's holding the blockers up, it's a good thing. That's exactly what you want to see to start the career while he's developing. And the Dallas Cowboys just beat the suck ass New York Giants.
Oh wow, they won. That kick, man. That 64-yard kick, probably good
Must
from
have drafted him high,
75.
right?
No, well, Jason, here's the thing. He was actually a first round pick in the MLS. The Cowboys
Go
actually
on.
got him off the street.
Go on.
I don't know, man. That's really all I got. It was a 64-yard kick, would have been good from 75. Cowboys got him off the street. I to your point about the defensive line, Jason, I feel like there maybe not questions of Chris Kosaric the past couple of years, but definitely felt like there wasn't much production that we're used to from the defensive
Oh, oh,
line.
oh, oh. Can I
Okay.
be funny real quick? I'm sorry. But I
Yeah,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
Harrison Bucker just missed a kick.
Harrison, did he miss it wide right? Did you hear the Rich Eisen call last week when he missed?
Yeah, I
that one
did.
field
I
goal?
did. Clock it. Clock it.
The shock is surprisingly too wide right. Whatever, and neither here nor there. But past couple of years, the Niners defensive line hasn't been that force we're used to, especially last season. It's almost like Kosaric and Saleh make music together because I've been so confident in this defensive line through 2 weeks early on in the season. The pass rush, not quite there. I feel like it took a step today. 3 sacks. Bosa, Upton Stout, which again, as I said, he was huge around the line of scrimmage, maybe not in the secondary as much. And then Bryce Huff, man, that's why you bring him in, a situational pass rusher. He comes in. There was who's the right tackle? I didn't grab the name, but that right tackle had no chance, no chance whatsoever. Fuaga, yes, no chance whatsoever on that Bryce Huff rep. And listen, if the Niners want to keep doing this thing where they're allowing teams to have a fourth quarter final drive of the game-winning drive, and they're just going to strip sack the quarterback to seal the game, the adrenaline rush just off of yelling, "Oh, it's loose," and knowing that your defender gets it, like, I'll take it. That's a pretty sick way to win a couple games.
And this game really, really could have started very differently if
Yes.
Chris Olave catches the football, if Jawan Johnson catches the football. Chris Olave, I don't know what Renardo Green did to you, but you can't be doing my guy like that.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah.
and what's funny is the game started and the Saints were like, "Where's zero? Like we're
Yeah,
going at zero."
Rashid Shaheed had that one-handed catch on like the second play of the game, 39 yards. I think Green was called for PI or a holding. That was pretty cool.
I mean, so you get that catch, and then what happens? I think they missed the field goal, the Saints, right? Like so.
Yes, they opened the game with a missed field goal.
That game could have went completely like different because the way the 49ers came out on offense, three straight pass plays, 3 and out. And if Olave catches that ball, if Jawan Johnson catches that ball, my God, man, this game could have went differently. But hey, that's why all those little things add up. But look, I'm not gonna poo-poo this win. I really enjoyed the complementary football that was happening in this game for the first time. Meaning when the defense needed to stop and lift the offense, they did. When the offense needed to drive to lift the defense, they did. When they like these are the things, like it doesn't have to be one game over the other. And like it doesn't have to be, hey, it just has to be all defense this game. No, like at certain moments, defense has to lift offense, offense has to lift defense. This
Mhm.
team right now are winning games that they normally would have kicked aside. This game started to feel so much like 2024 when they
Mhm.
started having those third down penalties. And I just was
Yeah.
like, dude, like you're killing yourself again.
Mm.
Started to feel like that. Like last week too. Starting to feel like 2024. But the point is they would have been 0-2 in these games. They're 2-0. They're 2-0 in the NFC. They're 1-0 in the division. And you know, if your team right now is not undefeated, I wouldn't put up with that shit. I
No.
really wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't let that happen to me.
Well, you talk about the complementary football between the two sides, and really nothing better shows the end of the first half where the defense finally breaks, allows a 12-yard and 84 or 12 play 84-yard touchdown drive where the Saints finally get on the board, and now there's a chance of okay, you might go into halftime 9-7. It's a close game. And then Mac Jones just leads that beautiful drive to end the half. And
Beautiful.
all of a sudden it's a two possession game. You have a chance to go for the 2-for-1 on both sides of the half. Unfortunately, Mac Jones loses the fumble. But I want to go back, Jason, because you did mention the missed field goal and how big that is, right? How big the group missed field goal is from 40 yards on the opening drive is because if he makes that, because 40 yards is more than manageable, right? That's part of the reason the Niners got rid of Jake Moody is he was missing those types of kicks. If everything goes as is and he makes that field goal, it's 26-24 going into that final drive. And now instead of New Orleans needing a touchdown and pushing the ball more downfield, they got the ball to their own 42-yard line. That's 20 yards, 25 yards away from field goal range. So that missed field goal looms large, and that missed PAT also looms large as well from Pinheiro. And that, I mean, good sense of humor, I guess, from him, right? Like to miss the PAT and then hit the three other kicks that he got a chance on. Good sense of humor from him
Right down the
there.
middle too.
Right there, yeah, they were not like worried at all. But the missed field goal looms large in the first quarter because that changes the entire final drive of the game for the Saints. Because instead of having to push the ball, all you have to do is get to the 30-yard line. And you have a chance to win that game. So again, it wasn't the prettiest of wins, but I feel like there's plenty of positives. We haven't said the name Fred Warner yet on this podcast, Jason Aponte. I feel like we need to because he's really fucking good at football. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
if we've said that on this podcast before,
So
but
is D
he
Winters.
has dog D Winters good. I really appreciated the amount of Dre Greenlaw tweets that I saw after the
Everyone.
unsportsmanlike. That was a very like that made me laugh. But yeah, but Fred Warner 11 tackles, 7 solo, a tackle for loss. Maybe the play of the game for the Niners. Jair Brown didn't get a lot of play today, but I felt like he was making some good plays on the field.
I gotta watch
But
that tape, man, because I gotta figure out what the idea was. Like, were they using him as a third linebacker in
it
base
was like
instead of Gifford? Like, I just I
it
gotta
was like
watch
a
the film.
hybrid slot
Yeah,
linebacker
right. That's
thing.
what
I
I
don't
mean.
know
Like,
what it was.
it's where they
It
were playing
worked.
him too. They were playing him closer to the line and everything. So, like, I don't know. Maybe they're finding a role for him.
It worked. It worked out, but he's half of the big play for the Niners where he holds up Alvin Kamara. Fred Warner
He
just
flew
makes
to that ball too.
a hell of a play to knock that ball out. The Niners pick it up and then they score a touchdown to make it 26-14, their last score of the game. But then something small as well, the third down, the third down at the end of the game for the Saints, a 3rd and 1. Rattler aims for Johnson. They get the Saints on the plus side, and Fred Warner's right there to knock the ball out. Sets up the 4th and 1. Bryce Huff gets the sack. Game's over. The feeling with the Niners linebackers are back. Devondre Campbell took it away last year, and D Winters is ripping it right back because that boy can play football. He
Yeah,
is so good. He's flying around. I think he had a hit on Olave too, where Olave kind of slipped on a play. And I mean, if Olave did not slip, D Winters might have obliterated him and sent him to the shadow realm. That's how hot he was coming in. But the feel is back with the 49ers linebackers.
it's crazy because it's gone from, man, we just hope that he can be on the field, and
Yeah.
Nick Martin's coming to your job, to no, Winters has to be on the field. Like, he is a difference maker. Like, he's not just a guy on the defense, and that's such an insane development, right? Is it went from, hey, I'd like to see another step from D Winters, to holy shit, D Winters is balling right next to Fred Warner and the things that you
Yep.
can do. You know, it almost puts you in a spot where you don't want to put a third linebacker on the field because you've got
No.
both of them going sideline to sideline, in base, and you're doing good enough in run defense, man. It's incredible. And Bronx Rob, shout out to you. By the way, I have a chance to have the greatest sports weekend of all time. The New York Yankees can sweep those scrubs in Boston, and the Niners win, and the Giants can take over the wild card spot with a win over the Dodgers. This might be the greatest sports weekend ever. But Bronx Rob says this team has improved so far on both sides on third downs. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mac Jones was like 8 for 13 on third down. And when the 49ers, unfortunately, their third down conversion rate on defense, it went down like to get off the field
Yeah.
because of those 3 third down penalties, right? Like,
Mhm.
so that didn't really help. But it just seems like where the 49ers needed a closer last season, they're getting one, and obviously it's going to be Nick Bosa. He did it first, then
Yeah.
Bryce Huff does it. But, offensively, when you're converting 8 of 13, that's a very good clip. And I feel like Mac, when he needed to make those throws and they needed to make a play, they did. So again, when the defense needs to make a play, they got it. When the offense needs to make a play, they got it. Again, one's lifting the other in multiple moments. That's what a football team is about, man. This team still hasn't played their best game of the season yet. And, oh my God, man, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but Brandon Ayuk returns and Ricky Pearsall's there, and
Yeah.
like this offense it has a chance to really take a different spot, and just go to another gear, especially when they start to clean up some of the things that they need to clean up.
And it's even too, you talk about the receivers, Jason, like Kendrick Bourne had a role today. Like
He
he
did.
was just signed and he had 3 targets, 3 receptions. They targeted 4 different receivers this week, Jason, instead of the 2 last week. Jennings with 10 targets, Pearsall with 6, Kendrick Bourne with 3, and Marcus Valdez-Scantling got a target, so that's pretty cool. I texted this, Jason. Braden Willis just doesn't have the same feel. That 82. I don't like it. Just that's my Braden Willis thought. Jason Aponte. I got
If
to
if
stick to it. I had him making the 53-man roster, so I got to stick with the bit.
if number 9 is so good, then why is Sky Moore still trash?
I was waiting for Sky Moore to get I felt bad for Sky Moore. Did he even have a return? I don't think he did.
I don't know.
One punt return for 1 yard today. Two, and then Garendo had a couple returns. So Sky Moore didn't really get to play. But yeah, the receiving core, if it kind of holds like this, because Pearsall's looked really good, and if I, again, this is a big if, but if Ayuk returns to his what we know what he can be, I mean, this is a really good passing attack, especially with Christian McCaffrey. And again, another kind of quiet game for Christian McCaffrey. But the thing is like his quiet games is still 105 total yards of offense. He had 13 carries for 55 yards, 6 receptions for 52. So like 19 touches again, which I think is a much more manageable number. And then also, man, Brian Robinson had a good amount of touches today, so I think this is as close as we're going to get to a shared backfield with Kyle Shanahan. 6 touches for Brian Robinson, and then also maybe the most. I don't know if this is something that we thought would be said, but Jason, with the way I'm setting it up, do you know who had the longest run for the 49ers today?
Mac Jones.
It was Mac Jones, 13-yard scramble. Who'd have thought?
I mean, and we got all right. So Mac Wheels is now a thing. The Mac Push is now a thing.
Just
Did anybody catch that one?
Tongus grabbing him by the hips and just
Did anybody catch that one? They're gonna try to ban the Mac Push. We can't let them.
No.
But like offensively, you're gonna get Ayuk back. You're gonna get Demarcus Robinson back. Jennings will hopefully get a little bit healthier. You still have Pearsall. Obviously Kittle. If you keep McCaffrey healthy, oh my goodness, man, this is gonna be an offense that can go through the roof. Unfortunately, what does that mean? It probably means that Jordan Watkins is not gonna see the field this season unless there's another injury, right? Listen to the names: Ayuk, Robinson, Jennings, Pearsall. Where does he fit? And he's not going to see the field unless there's an injury, unfortunately. So this might be a redshirt season for Jordan Watkins if everybody gets healthy.
Yeah, and you kind of forget Robinson's there because of the
I didn't even mention Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, like Kendrick Bourne. Hey man, it was good seeing Kendrick Bourne back. Something about that 84, like it felt good. He was hyped up too. Like he was very reactive to each of his receptions. He's just a good guy to have, and I felt good with Kendrick Bourne. And I, you know what, honestly, man, with all the talk about the receiving core we had in the start of the preseason and through training camp, 2 weeks not too bad, man. Like I know it's kind of been it was Pearsall's big game last week and then Jennings today, but I feel much better about the receiving core through 2 weeks than I ever thought I would during the preseasons, and then that's a compliment, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, good teams in this league find ways to win football games. The margins
Yeah.
are razor thin, right? You can't kill yourself and you have to make plays when you make it. The 49ers shot themselves in the foot a little bit, but when you needed to play, you get it done. It doesn't matter the opponent, doesn't matter the setting. It's always going to be razor thin like that. And the 49ers have found a way to win 2 straight games on the road in which they needed to make plays, and they did both times. That is automatically an improvement. But then when you couple that with the fact that they are going to get healthier, they are going to clean things up, and they are going to play better football and be more crisp, right? Right? Then things are looking up, especially when you're supposed to be winning these games the way that you are.
Where do you want to go from here, Jason? I feel like we kind of touched everything, or touched a lot already. But where do you want to go from here? We talked Warner, Bosa 9 tackles, a sack,
Yeah.
pretty good game from him. Ho hum game from him. Renardo Green was targeted early, but didn't really notice him much the rest of the
No.
game. I again, like, I think people are going to see this final score and be like, oh well, what happened? And to me, I would take this performance over last week's performance. Is that a stretch to say?
I mean, they played better, I think.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about is Connor Colby, man. I mean, look, it just seems like Ben Barch is not going to be able to keep himself healthy. But Colby, as a rookie, stepping in and playing as well as he did, that is, look, we can bicker about this all we want about, investment in O-line and, what you mean by investment. When people complain about that, what they mean by investment means they want a first round talent. The problem is a seventh rounder came in and played well. Now, if a seventh rounder comes in and plays well, is that not an investment?
Mm-hmm.
If you get Colton McKivitz off the street, UDFA, and he plays well, is that not an investment? So the investment thing is what I'll never understand, because people just want first round investments. But it doesn't mean that they haven't invested in the line.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll see what happens with Barch, and we'll see how long this thing goes with Colby and everything. I thought he played well. You didn't hear his name. But Pony was getting his ass kicked early in this game. And I wonder if he's still a little bit banged up. But you didn't hear Trent Williams' name. Colton McKivitz was fine. I thought Jake Brendel was fine. But, again, like the whole investment in O-line argument is just drafting first round linemen to draft first round linemen.
Yeah.
And if you do that just for the sake of doing that, I feel like you're just that's not a good way to build a roster. So look, it doesn't matter what round you get them. It doesn't matter how you get them. If you got them off the street and they play well, investments are investments are investments. They're low risk investments, but when they hit, they're big. And if they get something with Connor Colby, who was taken in the 7th round, how can you be mad at that?
Yeah, and it's a tough break injury for Barch because he just kind of got rolled up on. You never want to see that, but he was in a boot at the end of the game. I saw Kyle Juszczyk had sunglasses on in the dome, which doesn't make me feel particularly great with the concussion. So we'll see where he is there. Did you see Lombardi? I just saw this. Did you see Lombardi's tweet about the sack?
I called
Bryce quotation Mariano Rivera Huff.
Isn't that because Salah called him that? The closer?
Maybe he did. Did he?
Yeah, he did. He did.
I feel like I could Google Robert
He did.
Saleh.
He did. They called. Somebody said something that they called him Mariano Rivera the closer. Whatever. That's cringe.
He last year he did. There it is. Yeah. With the Jets. Yeah. I just saw the tweet. I wanted to mention it. It's Yankee Jason Aponte. The Yankees won today, right?
Or no, they play. They play at 7. Yeah, they got a chance. They got a chance to sweep those scrubs in Boston. Yeah. Look. Defensive line. Michael Williams had a great game. Obviously, I saw Kalia Davis flash as well too. Man, he's been so good. I saw Alfred Collins. Get a pressure as well too. So look, the bumps and bruises are gonna happen. Obviously, what this team has been relying on is their high end talent. I haven't heard Diamador Lenoir's name in 2 games.
Yep.
So that side of the field shut off. Nick Bosa, Lenoir, Warner,
Trent
Williams,
Daniel says,
Christian McCaffrey. these are the guys that are going to have to play well while everything else is coming
Yeah.
into shape. And who's to say that they haven't? I mean, I haven't heard Diamador. I forgot Diamador Lenore was playing football.
Yeah. He had 4 tackles today, 1 for a loss. I'm very curious to see his PFF numbers tomorrow because I don't think I could recall a single target really going his way. Specifically to him, I mean, they threw to his side of the field. That's how you get some tackles there. But I don't think, like in one-on-one coverage, like they were with Renardo Green at the start of the game, right? They weren't doing one-on-one coverage. We're half an hour in, guys. It's a great time to remind everybody to subscribe to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel.
And like this
Uh,
video.
great content. Like this video. Sprint Right Option Podcast is going to be tomorrow, 5:00. We'll do another quick review of this game and any news that comes
Can we
out
do
of
lunchtime? There's
We can
a
do-
Monday Night Football doubleheader. I'm not trying to
lunchtime.
compete against the. I'm not trying to compete
We-
against that.
We can 100% do lunchtime, Jason Aponte. We'll do noon tomorrow. So make sure to be here for that as well. We'll talk kind of with the news that comes out of today's game. I'm sure there'll be injury updates. But yeah, just overall a very good win and one you feel good about especially going. I mean, you feel good because you're 2-0, but now you're going into the home opener against an Arizona Cardinals team that I think the Niners did better against the Saints than the Cardinals did last week for whatever that may be. I don't think that means anything for the week 3 matchup. It's just a similar opponent, just something to mark. It will be a test just because it is the kind of mentioned how Rattler, he's not exactly mobile, but he can run the ball. And one of the Achilles heels for Saleh's first tenure with the Niners was the mobile quarterback. They're going to get their first real look against a mobile quarterback next week against Kyler Murray. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. They're currently up 10-3 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter against the Carolina Panthers. So maybe not the most spectacular looking score right now for them. But overall, it's a good win. It's something to feel good about it. And Mac Jones deserves a lot of credit for it.
You know what's funny? You know how I'm gonna try to check out the blueprint on slowing down Kyler Murray in this game?
How you gonna do that?
I'm gonna watch the Saints film from week 1 and what Brandon Staley put on tape. Because not only was he was blitzing in a way that was forcing away the running lanes and keeping him in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
The year is 2025 and it's September 14th. And I'm looking to Brandon Staley and his defensive game plan as a thing to lift for the San Francisco 49ers on how to slow down Kyler Murray.
Well, I talked
Wild
about
times.
I talked about it last week too. Is the Saints were credited with 5 sacks against the Cardinals, but 2 of them were Murray scrambling behind the line of scrimmage. One he ran out of bounds. One he slid behind the line of scrimmage. And it's like, how many times have we seen a Kyler Murray, run around the behind the line of scrimmage, gets past the line of scrimmage and gets like 20, 30 yards against the Niners. So that's something that the Niners have struggled with, preventing him from taking off for those big runs. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see how they handle him in Robert Saleh's second tenure with the 49ers.
Well, Jadeveon Clowney just signed with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Who cares? But more than anything, again, like that's what the focus of this week is going to be is, limiting explosive plays, which, for everything that I said that was good about what the Saints did against Arizona in week 1, that was the thing that they didn't do well. They allowed 3.5% of their plays or 4.5% of their plays to be explosives. That was number 1 in the NFL. They certainly slowed that down today. They had the one explosive to Juwan Jennings, but everything else was very much the Brandon Staley defense of 2 eye safeties, put everything in front of you and try to go run up and tackle. So I'm interested to look at that and see where the pitfalls were on those explosive plays and what happened. Because as Chris said on the pod, it would have been even worse if Marvin Harrison brings in that 99 yard pass or whatever. So while there was some good things that were put on tape, it certainly wasn't perfect, but that'll be up to Robert Saleh and the 49ers defense to take what was there and what was done well and add, the stuff that you can have on the back end. So again, I'm really interested to go back and watch that tape again. Never thought that I'd be watching 2 straight weeks of the Saints, but here we are.
Here we are, man. It's a weird schedule because it's not too often that 2 teams have common opponents facing off each other in week 3. Usually it's different, but it's very interesting that the Niners and Cardinals have faced the Saints in week 1 and week 2, and then they're the matchup in week 3. So obviously there's going to be a lot of comparisons between how both of these teams handled the Saints. Again, I think the scoreboard, it lies a little bit in this game. I think if you told me this score was 27-13, I would say, yeah, that feels about right. I don't think there was ever, and that's a little bit of a lie, Andrew. I think the last drive you get a little nervous and maybe the Saints pull something out of their hat and they win, but I don't think there was really ever a moment after the Niners jumped out to that 16-7 lead. I don't think there was ever a moment it's like, oh, the Saints are going to win this game, at least until they have the ball with a minute left, down 5. But the whole third quarter just kind of felt like, the Niners kind of have this. Score says it was a little closer than that, but it never felt like the Niners were necessarily in danger until a minute 43 left in the game.
I thought the 49ers were going to start running away with this thing after the 2-minute drive.
Yeah.
It just felt like I was like, oh, that's it. Like, and they're going to get the ball back, and and they figured it out. But credit the Saints. You have to give them credit, man. They stuck with it. They're going to be far more competitive than people realize. Doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games, and I think that's very fair, but it doesn't mean they're going to get rolled on. And I think that's the difference between a team that is well coached and has good culture with a bad roster than somebody who's just allowing their team to get rolled on and blitzed and blitzed and blitzed. No, those guys are playing hard, and Staley and Kellen Moore, they're doing a good job. They are making Spencer Rattler through 2 weeks look like somebody who, you know what, Tyler Shuck, you might not even get a chance to compete because we've got to figure this out. And this is coming from somebody who isn't particularly high on Spencer Rattler. I think 100%. He's done very well, man, and he deserves kudos for the first 2 weeks at least. Again, we may revisit this in week 10 and week 11 and say, hey, what a bunch of bozos said this in week 2. But as of right now, with the information we've been given, I think the Saints deserve a lot of credit for fighting in both these games.
Well, Jason, you mentioned too how you felt like after that 2-minute drive at halftime, Niners were never going to really be a threat. It shows, and this isn't like Andrew big brain football thinking. It shows how important one turnover can be because the Niners only have one turnover this game, and it's on an opportunity to go for the 2-for-1 to extend the lead to 23-7. But Mac Jones fumbles at the one turnover for the Niners, and the Saints turn around and make it a touchdown. And then
by the way,
the scoreboard says it's a closer game than it is.
By the way, that's all on Mac Jones. I mean, Colton McKivitz gets the edge rusher down on the ground. The ball's got to be out. Like, what more do you want from the right tackle? Like, I don't want to see anybody blaming Colton McKivitz for that one. Like, we praised Mac, and I think he did well, but come on, that's totally on Mac.
I sent my clerical question because I did ask, like, hey, who do you guys, because, I like to use the group chat to ask questions, make sure my thinking's right. And my brain, it was Mac Jones' fault for holding on. But there was that one of like, okay, well, McKivitz got him to the ground and didn't keep him there. So maybe some backwards way this is on McKivitz. But no, Mac Jones he like to even if that was Trent Williams allowing that sack, it would be a little better because at least it's from the blind side. But that whole thing happened right in front of him on his facing side, and he didn't feel it. And yeah, there was a couple complaints that Mac was holding the ball. There's a couple of those where I think there was one too, and Jason, you might find it on the film. He threw this pass, but there was one where he was standing flat-footed in the pocket for about 3 seconds. Like nobody was getting to him, so like he was able to throw it. But he was just standing there, feet firmly planted in the ground. It's like, okay, like what are we doing here? We're moving, we're staying. He got that one out, but yeah, the fumble, it just shows like that's there. I guess that's the best way to explain it, Jason. We talked about the injuries, how the Niners need to be healthy at their key players, because one play, one turnover could have flipped this game over for how good Mac Jones played. And it almost bit them, but they needed to be perfect. And one play almost cost them the entire thing.
Yeah, and real quick, and I'll get back to the topic. Kyle Shanahan on a potential Brock Purdy return next week. I think there's a chance, but we've got to see how it goes. It's very up for debate, so we're just taking it a day at a time. So essentially nothing. Like there is no update. Yeah, look, there is times, and I see it, Max's statue, all that stuff. That's fine, but for the most part, operating this offense, and that's the part. This is the part where, you kind of have the discussion messed up if you believe that, why did you pay Brock and you have Mac. Brock is mobile. Brock is getting away, right? Now, you don't want your quarterback running, but he does extend plays and he does have that little extra giddy up. Like that's the extra, right? Now, you're going to say, is it worth 230, 5 million, whatever? Fine. That's up for you to debate, but I don't want to get into this debate about who's better between Mac and Brock. Like Brock did exactly what he was supposed to do with a week game plan. A week worth of game plan, excuse me. And a clear plan to get Christian McCaffrey the ball, but in a more efficient way rather than pepper him with 31 targets. By the way, 31 touches. By the way, I feel like that was more of an extension of what was going on in that game with all the injuries,
Yeah.
and they were just trying to navigate and mitigate that. In this week, they knew what they were going to have. They knew Jennings was going to be there. They knew that Kittle was going to be out. Now we don't have to, we can manufacture a game plan that we feel comfortable with Mac operating while giving Christian McCaffrey the ball without running him in the ground. I did like to see Brian Robinson on the field. Maybe it wasn't as explosive, but it was good to see the running game getting back on track a little bit. And you know what? Credit to the Saints too. The Saints played the run well. And Christian McCaffrey was getting more than what was there. So
Yep.
it's no slight at the Saints. I think they played a hell of a game. The 49ers were just better, and they have better
Yep.
players, and that's what won them the game ultimately. And that's what we hope will win them more games down the line. Why have all this high-end talent at all these positions if they can't lift you a little bit and you can't cheat on
Yeah.
because you just have better players?
Yeah, and that's the thing with McCaffrey, man, is like to me, like 13 carries, 55 yards. Obviously, we've seen bigger stat lines, but you kind of like if you watch this game and didn't look at the scoreboard or the box score, like McCaffrey looks so damn impressive, man, with how patient he is, and like Brian Robinson's a solid running back himself. But you can see just the difference between the two and how high quality Christian McCaffrey is. And I think there's going to be an easing through period again. Like we're talking about McCaffrey, like he had a not great game because of the number, but he still, as I said, 105 total yards from scrimmage. I feel like as the season goes, he's going to start looking better and better because again, like he missed so many games last year. There's the calf injury last week. There's questions with that. It's going to take some time for him to ease in, but like I'm getting Jason. You mentioned it earlier, but like I'm just getting more and more giddy of like once Ayuk gets back, like this offense might be there. Like this offense might be something real special because like Pearsall's showing out and Jennings is looking good, and then like again you're gonna get Kittle back as well, right around the same time as Ayuk, and it's like shit, man. This offense, it's going to be something, and it really comes down to if this defense can just hold up, and it's held up for 2 weeks. Again, there was some growing pains today, but it held up just enough. Fred Warner making the big plays, and that's like again that I think today, Jason, is the perfect example of the big guys need to make plays because a lot of mistakes on the defense from the young guys, but it's here's a Nick Bosa sack, here's a Fred Warner forced fumble. Bryce Huff, not exactly the superstar name, but he's not a rookie. He makes the forced fumble to win the game. Like it's these big name guys who need to make these plays, and they're coming through. And that's why I think it's encouraging for this defense. Is yes, it wasn't their best game bar for bar, but they made the plays when they needed to, and they still only held the Saints to 21 points. And we'll see how it looks against, I'm going to assume, a better offense with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison next week.
Maybe.
And James Conner always seems to be a thorn in the Niners side. So we'll see what it looks like next week. But this week, like, yes, some negative, but like I feel good about the Niners defense.
Roberto Davis, thank you for the donation, buddy. Mac did his job. QB2 normally loses in the NFL. And, someone asked in here, I can't, I'll go back and I'll find it. Would Brandon Allen or Josh Dobbs have won that game? Probably not.
No.
I would say probably not.
No.
Like there's
Would Sam Darnold win it?
Yeah. There's a difference, right? Like there's a difference. There's a pecking order for QB2s, right? When your quarterback 2 is Brandon Allen, you don't feel good about it.
No.
When your quarterback 2 is a past starter in the league and is someone who is a glove in hand fit for this offense, and the coach liked him, and you have skill players that you can use, you feel differently, right? It's not just any quarterback 2, it's Mac Jones. And you can debate who you think is the best backup quarterback in the NFL. I think Mac has a claim at it. The goal is to not have him play many games. The next time I really want to see Mac Jones is just week 18 when that game doesn't matter against Seattle. Like that's the next time I want to see him, or in victory formation after the 49ers blow people out. But the difference between, not all quarterback 2s are created equal. Some guys, if you have to go to your quarterback 2, your week's over. I never felt like that. Given the opponent, given who the play caller is, given who's the talent around, given who the quarterback 2 is, it's completely different. So Mac Jones isn't equal to Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen. And look, we even saw the Browns today. Joe Burrow's injured. Jake Browning gets thrown into the fire. They win. The Jaguars suck also, by the way. We got to have a talk about Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, but like that's the thing is, Can you operate the offense? Can you limit the mistakes? Can you make plays when you need to? And you know what? That's exactly what Mac Jones did, and that's exactly what the 49ers did.
Yeah, you feel good about this one, Jason? You want to do 3 stars?
Sure.
Let's do 3 stars here, Jason. I will start. NinersNation.com, by the way. I'm going to throw my 3 stars out. I'm gonna go Mykel Williams. This is gonna be a little different list from my Niners Nation list. I'm gonna go Mykel Williams. 2 tackles for loss. Really, it felt like his. I mean, only his second game of his career, but the best game of his career so far. You feel good with what you saw, and that NASCAR package, especially with Yetur Gross-Matos playing like he is, and Bryce Huff and Nick Bosa, like the feeling of those OG Robert Saleh defenses are back. And that pass rush is feels like it's gonna it's only gonna get better every week from here. So I'll go Mykel Williams, my second star.
Oh my God, this was so funny too. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
saw the boombox came out, and it was Diamador Lenore, Trent Williams, Brian Robinson, and Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne, dude.
Yep.
That's when I knew. I was like, oh man, there's no way the Niners lose this one. My third star, and it's gonna be a lot of defensive players, even though the game itself wasn't like exactly defensive, but Diamador Lenore, like you didn't hear his name. And no one's thinking about like no one finished that game and they were like, man, my God, like Diamador Lenore. When you don't hear his name, that means he's having that impact. He's shutting down the other side. And I want to also shoot Renardo Green some bail because as a quarterback, as a offense, you look over at one side and you see number 2. You look over the other side and you see 0. Who are you going to throw the football at? And
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to throw it at Lenore. So Renardo's got to get ready for that because they're probably going to attack him a little bit more to stay away from Lenore. They never tried him. So Diamador Lenore, my third star, man. Just like I haven't heard his name in 2 weeks. I almost forgot that he played football.
Yeah. My number 2 star, I'm gonna go Juwan Jennings. Kind of questionable all week with the shoulder injury. 5 receptions, 89 yards, game-winning touchdown. Uh, he looked really good today. He looked like the guy who was demanding more money for the past few weeks, right? Like he looked like that guy. That touchdown throw. I mean, that was more a Mac throw, but he finishes it off. And he also, I mean, he had a quick injury scare to start the third quarter as well. Kind of landed on his shoulder rough. Had to come out for a couple plays, and he came back and he makes the big play of the game for the Niners. So I'll go Juwan Jennings, my second star. I feel good about that.
I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey. Again, whatever you need, whenever you need it, running the football, catching the football, just that touchdown from Juwan Jennings has as much to do with the play call and the attention that he draws, and how much him coming out of the backfield sends guys his way, and all of a sudden now Juwan Jennings is running free behind everyone. And even as slow as he wasn't touched. So I think you got to give it to Christian McCaffrey again, man. Look, the 49ers are going to rely on their what's the point of having top end high end guys if you're not going to rely on them? And when the going gets rough, that's what you do with Christian McCaffrey, with Warner, with Bosa, all of those guys. Like, this is one of those games, and again, it may not be the gaudy 31 touch game. He did end up with close to 100 scrimmage yards, little of this, little of that, but when you need it, Christian McCaffrey, man.
Who would have thought that our very first Jason, who's your number 1 star on 3, would be this guy? But 1, 2, 3, Mac Jones.
Oh no, that's not mine.
Oh, you had somebody down. I'll go Mac Jones though. Backup quarterback comes in, 26 for 39, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns. He looked really good, man, and that's a tough spot for any quarterback too. I know he's a guy who's had starting experience in the NFL. It's really, really weird what happens when your offensive coordinator is Kyle Shanahan and not Matt Patricia, a defensive coach, which is just really interesting that happens. That happened. The Patriots were like, yeah, dude, we're going to take this defensive guy and make him an offensive coordinator for a second-year quarterback. That really happened. So I'll go Mac Jones number 1 just because he is the backup quarterback and the bump box, dude. The bump box. Bump box guy, huge role for the 49ers.
Gojira Von Jing says, my number 1 is Pinheiro. How'd you know? No, my number 1 is the defensive line. And this team needed a closer. They've got closers in different ways now. Huff was brought here to be a situational pass rusher. Thank you. You ended the game. Nick Bosa, we pay you to be a top 3 defensive end. Thank you. You nearly ended the game as well, too. The defensive line continues to be doing things in different ways, right? The run defense wasn't as good as we wanted it to be today. That's fine. I think we're going to get the bumps and bruises. But when you have the chance to finish the game, whether it's on offense or on defense, who's going to make a play? 2 straight weeks the San Francisco 49ers have made plays, and it's been the defensive line. And EB says, struggling against bad teams means we're as bad too. Barely winning and struggling. I completely disagree with this
Yeah.
sentiment and this statement. This is not the NCAA where you get
Yeah.
votes when you move up and you thrash South Hawaii State,
Uh-huh.
and or like that. Like the NFL, the margins are razor thin. I think you think too little of the Saints. I don't think they're nearly as bad as you think they were. And they're gonna not win a lot of games, but they're gonna be very competitive. And I think you're seeing that week over week. Doesn't mean they're gonna win games, but they're competitive. I went over this before. But good teams win in any way you want. Blowout, you want an offensive touchdown at the end of the game. You want a
Mhm.
defensive stop at the end of the
Mhm.
game. Good teams find ways to win game regardless of opponents, regardless of who's on the field, regardless of the setting. Wins are wins are wins. I disagree with this respectfully,
Well,
EB.
as I said last week, they don't ask how, they ask how many, man. Like the Niners are 2-0. They might not be the prettiest of wins, but would you rather them be 0-2 so their record reflects how they play? Like they won these games, and I think EB with how we're looking at it, last year these would have been two losses.
Their
So like
losses.
this is a step in the right direction. Like you're not every win is going to be a 31-14 skunking of the New Orleans Saints. There's going to be ugly wins in there, and as long as they're collecting wins, and there's going to be certain parts where the schedule gets a little tougher. Jason, you and I both had different kind of stretches of death earlier when we did our season preview. Is these wins in the back pocket are going to be very important, because if you lose these games, I don't need to sit here and say the difference between 2-0 and 0-2. Like I think ESPN will tell you enough tonight if you watch Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt, as I'm sure they'll show the stat of, well, here's the percentage of teams 0-2 that make the playoffs, and you'll see it. Uh, so
Didn't
he
we
said
didn't we close the game offensively last week?
they closed the game offensively last week.
Like they literally had to go down and win the
They
game, with
literally
a
had
with
to,
an with a game winning drive,
against
and then the
defense in Seattle,
yeah.
against a
I mean,
better defense in
look,
Seattle.
regardless, this is what I'm going to say too. Look, this is another way to look at this. It's week 2. If you think the San Francisco 49ers team is a finished product at week 2 and you want to label them something after week 2, go right ahead.
Yep.
I have no intention on doing that, knowing the reinforcements that are coming, the fact that they have many things that they can clean up, that they can get much better, that they still haven't played their best single football game. And you don't expect that in week 2. I mean, for God's sakes, there's going to be 15 more games, right? I literally have no semblance of what this team is going to be, but I do have a optimistic feeling because they haven't played their best game yet, and
Mhm.
they've won 2 games, and they are inevitably going to get better. They are going to get Ayuk back. They're going to get Kittle back. They're going to pair Ayuk with Jennings and Demarcus Robinson and Pearsall. All of these things are true. Malik Mustafa is going to come back. All of
Mhm.
these things are happening, right? Now, if
Yep.
you pair all of the reinforcements with playing their better game, this is not a finished product. I am not going to sit here and write off the 49ers and say, hey, man, you struggled against the New Orleans Saints because in the offseason we thought that they were going to be terrible. But turns out they're actually a much better coached football team than we believed.
Yeah.
Wins are wins are wins.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how you get them. And I really believe in this team getting better and
Yep.
improving because they will, and they are going to get reinforcements back. There's no way you can sit here and say in week 2 that you're panicked about this team because they're winning games that they normally wouldn't have won, and they're down injuries, like all of these injuries, and they're still winning games. What else do you want them to do? Like even Mac, look, Mac Jones started today. Maybe if
Yep.
Brock Purdy played today, I could see myself clear just being like, damn, you really struggle with the Saints. It was the backup quarterback who went out
Yep.
there as well too. Like, why are we overlooking all of these things when all of these things are the pieces to the puzzle? Like,
Yep.
all of these things can be true.
Yep. Yeah. No. There's again, like I don't necessarily agree with the take of like you can't feel good, can't close the game offensively. Like it's Niners won, Niners are 2-0, and that's what we're sitting on right now. So that feels good. Jason, we will be back tomorrow lunchtime. SRO will be back at noon. So if you're here watching this, we would love to have you join us for that as well. Plenty of good football left over today. The Colts and Broncos are playing a good one right now. There's a Super Bowl rematch. Falcons, Vikings. It might be a sneaky good game tonight, man. Penix versus McCarthy. I
That's a
think
Sunday
that's
night
going to
game.
be
Cool.
that's a Sunday night game. We're feeling good, and then double dip on the Monday night games tomorrow. I forget exactly what they are. It's
Raiders and Chargers.
I know Raiders and Chargers are one of them. Tampa Bay, Houston is the early one. So you're feeling good. Fun day of football ahead. Niners win. Don't have to think about them for the rest of the day. It's a nice thing when they play at 10 a.m. and get that victory. We're going to go enjoy some afternoon football. We'll be back tomorrow at noon, same place. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners, 2-0. I wouldn't put up with not being undefeated if I was a fan of a football team. That's just me.
You can't even talk to us if you're not undefeated at this point. Let's go Niners. We're feeling good about it.